The Department of Education handled about $229 billion of the $9.7 trillion that Congress allocated for federal agencies in 2024. That comes to about 2.4%. Despite the department's small size, it's taken on an outsized role in political rhetoric.
We will ultimately eliminate the federal Department of Education and send education back to Wisconsin and back to the states.
So I definitely have some concerns about the dismantling of the Department of Education. As a former homeschooler, a homeschool director, and a homeschooling advocate, doesn't directly affect me directly. But it affects my community, and it affects the kids that are going to be coming to me as a homeschool director over the next decade. And the idea that this is being dismantled, or rather bulldozed, and not examined and peeled apart is concerning. Like, I feel like even a broken clock is right twice a day. So I'm not saying that he's completely wrong. I'm saying that, as usual, he's taken a wild approach.
You look at Department of Education, it seems like so many buildings I ride by, it says Department of Education. They're all over the place. And we don't even want it. We want the education to be given by the states. It'll be much better. It'll move us to the top of the list from the bottom of the list.
So states have historically handled education, at least until the mid 1960s, right? The federal government got involved then primarily due to equal access issues, like letting Black people into schools. Yeah. So, let's see. The federal government's role in education expanded significantly in the mid 1960s with laws like the Elementary and Secondary Education Act and the Higher Education Act of 1965. Despite increased federal involvement, states still retain significant responsibility for education policy, funding, and curriculum. So that does still kind of happen. Things got a little weird in 2001 with the No Child Left Behind Act, which was passed by a bipartisan coalition in Congress and provided federal aid to the states in exchange for measures to penalize schools that were not meeting the goals as measured by the standardized state exams in mathematics and language skills. And then the Every Student Succeeds Act of 2015 replaced the No Child Left Behind Act, which continued federal oversight of education, giving states more flexibility. So what we'll be dismantling is ensuring that all kids are even allowed in the schools, are treated equally in the schools. And then we also won't have any oversight to make sure that there aren't these states and or cities and or hamlets where children are allowed to just wholesale fail, although that still happens, but there's supposed to be some kind of penalty when that does happen.
Brett, thanks so much for joining us. What do we know about this move to cancel these contracts and grants to Columbia University?
Yeah, Judy, this move stems from what we saw just last year when there were these widespread protests on the campus of Columbia University that attracted national attention. This was, of course, stemming from the war between Israel and Hamas that, of course, decimated swaths of Gaza. There were protests on campus. President Biden, spoke out and even condemned sort of the more extreme and violent aspects of these protests.
So my biggest concern is in the college arena, right? I just got off the phone with a young lady in my homeschool program who informed me that she doesn't have to pay for college. Woo woo, right? That's amazing. But I know she has to fill out FAFSA, and we don't know what the government is doing with that at this point. I'm sure the school will waive it. It is a private school, but the changes that are happening right now are messing with every single student graduating this year, messing with the process, messing with the paperwork, and messing with their heads. I'm waiting to hear from another student who I'm expecting a full ride from. And that is also from a private college, and he's also waiting for a public college. And I guess we'll see how that goes. But these new rules, or these sweeping changes, are messing with the kids who right now at this moment are getting their college acceptance letters, are getting their college scholarship letters, and need to go ahead and accept their admission into their chosen schools.
The White House has tried to start walking it back. But look, America, he's using your kids' education money to give tax breaks to his billionaire buddies. It's that simple. He's looking to find any money he can so his billionaire club can pay even less taxes. And this is why every single Democrat said hell no to the nomination of Linda McMahon, one of the only nominees in history tasked with destroying the very agency she's trying to lead.
And I think we all have a right to feel a little bit disgruntled. This is not being done with care. This is not being done with intention. This is being done to destroy as quickly as possible. So one has to ask what the motivations are. This is destructive. It's destructive to lives. It is destructive to the lives of students. It is destructive to the lives of parents. It is destructive to the public education in our country. It's about to be destructive to the private education in our country because of the mass entrances into it that are about to happen, just like during COVID, and that was super disruptive. So,
in education. And I know if I bring it back to Iowa, Indiana, Idaho, all these great states, I think I could say 40 states. I want to bring it back. 10 states won't be perfect. 5 states will be probably not so good. But they will be every bit as good as Norway and Denmark and Sweden and all of the states that are rated at the top.
So he's admitting right there that there are going to be schools that suck. There are going to be counties that suck. There are going to be states that suck. There are going to be city school systems that suck. And oopsie doopsie, it is what it is. Because the average or the mean will be better. This is just roughshod. And I'm not saying it doesn't already happen. I've done stories about how entire school systems are passing kids through and then getting them to 12th grade and saying, you don't have the credits you need to graduate. I'm seeing how people are graduating and feeling like they're unable to read and write. I'm seeing that. But those school systems do get penalized and those kids do get vouchers because I don't have a problem with school choice, right? But this is just sloppy.
If you tell me about Indiana and some of these great states that run really well, Iowa, you tell me about those states, and if they run their own education, they're going to do a lot better than somebody sitting in Washington, D.C. that couldn't care less about the pupils out in the Midwest.
Mr. President signed that. Why would you sign that order?
Well, I want to just do it. I mean, we're starting the process. We're trying to get the schools back into the states. Let the states run the schools.
Once again, I don't really have a problem with the states running the schools. I have a problem that there seems to be vendettas against some states. And so those states will be left, with nothing. If you're penalizing colleges on personal levels, you're definitely penalizing states as well. And so there's just going to be no government oversight to make sure that kids across that state are getting equal treatment, right?
At this point, we're not even putting energy towards these loans being forgiven. Maybe the real loan forgiveness were the friends we made along the way. The conversation around student loans have...
And then there are the student loans that are being run by the Department of Education. Now, I saw a video the other day that suggested that because our student information has been violated by the team of dismantlers, that we should be able to file for or sue and have those loans dismissed. That is literally a needle in a haystack situation. I don't know that that would work, but it's interesting to entertain. Meanwhile, what I knew was going to happen with student loans is what Trump is alluding to. And that is that they're going to be privatized again. If I remember correctly, that was a huge mess.
Sort of what department, what agency would handle student loans and the other types of federal
That would be
grants
brought
that
in,
the education
yeah, that would be brought into either Treasury or Small Business Administration or Commerce. And we've actually had that discussion today. I don't think the education should be handling the loans. That's not their business.
So I'd love to have a civil conversation about this. Tell me what your thoughts are with dismantling of education. What good do you think will come of it? What bad do you think will come of it? Let's talk about it. Till next time.